Hello everybody, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. Book review, The Willpower Instinct, How Self-Control Works, Why It Matters, and What You Can Do to Get More of It, by Kelly McGonigal, Ph.D. Probably butchered her name, sorry about that, Kelly. I've taken a bunch of little, or noted a bunch of pages, but I don't know if I really want to go through and bore you guys with a 15-minute video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the last two, because it really sums it up well here. But this book, once again, it's talking about the brain. And I've been reading all these psychology books. Of course, you guys know if you've been watching my book review videos. And it's becoming obvious to me that our brain is really a kludge. I mean, it's one brain built on top of another brain on top of another, and it's almost a miracle that we can actually get through life, make decisions, make rational, logical decisions at times, and achieve what we've achieved as individuals and as a nation, as a world. So, skipping all the way through to chapter 10, the final thoughts, page 237. If there is a secret for greater self-control, the science points to one thing: the power of paying attention. It's training the mind to recognize when you're making a choice rather than running on autopilot. It's noticing how you give yourself permission to procrastinate, or how you use good behavior to justify self-indulgence. It's realizing that the promise of reward doesn't always deliver, and that your future self is not a superhero or a stranger. It's seeing what's in your world, from sales gimmicks to social proof, is shaping in your behavior. It's staying put and sensing a craving when you'd rather distract yourself or give in. It's remembering what you really want and knowing what really makes you feel better. Self-awareness is the one self you can always count on to help you do what is difficult and what matters most. And that is the best definition of willpower I can think of. Now, if you followed my videos, this one paragraph touches on so many things that I've brought up. Paying attention. I mean, that makes the difference between life and death sometimes. That's why you don't want to text while driving. No, you need to pay attention what you're doing. I mean, it's just so key, so critical. Fellow traders, you need to pay attention to what's going on in the screen and not be distracted. It's that focus. All things I've mentioned before. I've talked about making choices, and rather than running on autopilot before. I mean, so many things we do are out of habit. We are creatures of habit. And that's not saying that's a bad thing, because if we had to really think about everything that we do, we'd be paralyzed. We couldn't get many things accomplished. We need to be able to do things without thinking about them. But that doesn't mean you do everything without thinking about it. It says it's noting how you give yourself permission to procrastinate or use good behavior to justify self-indulgence. Once again, you know, what matters? What are you doing? Are you paying attention? It all ties in together. And the thing about the sales gimmicks, I've talked about that before, how they know how our brains work, how they can trick us, and they're reaching for our wallet and pulling out dollars or credit cards to buy things that we already have, don't need, but think we want, to satisfy that craving. That's why I report on my thrift store finds if I failed or not. You know, did I buy another jacket? And it says self-awareness is the one self you can always count on. I mean, what was that great quote? Know thyself. I mean, when you think about it, that's what it's all about. I mean, this book is about willpower. You know, why do we continue to do things that we know we shouldn't, like smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol to excess, you eat all those sugary candies, all those salty snacks that we know really don't benefit us in the long run, but in the short term, hey, you know, they taste good. In the final paragraph, this is something that I don't think we're teaching children anymore, but we should. And it's something as adults, we need to remember this on a daily basis. As you move forward, keep the mindset of a scientist. Try new things, collect your own data, and listen to the evidence. Stay open to surprising ideas and learn from both your failures and your successes. Keep what works and share what you know with others. With all our human quirks and modern temptations, this is the best we can do. But when we do it with an attitude of curiosity and self-compassion, it is more than enough. Once again, I've spoken about this before, but this is really important. Try new things. If you keep doing the same thing every day, then, you know, today's going to be just like tomorrow, or today's going to be just like yesterday, and tomorrow is not going to be any different. You got to try new things. Collect your own data. Now with the internet, I was having a conversation with my good friend Kenny. Shout out to you, Kenny Sack. But with the internet, if you've got the internet, there's no excuse for ignorance. None. There's just so much at your fingertips. There's just no excuse to be ignorant in today's world if you have access to the internet. On the other hand, not saying you believe everything you see on the internet, but that's when you have to, as this book says, collect your own data. So you visit a couple of websites and see if it's all true or not. Just today, somebody asked me the definition of a local earthquake, because we talk about local and distant tsunamis all the time. Good question. I jumped on the internet. Within 5 minutes, I had the answer. There's no excuse for being ignorant if you have access to the internet. It says keep what works. I tell people that's my philosophy. 2 words, what works. Once again, you go back to paying attention, because what works one time might not work the next. You got to pay attention, especially fellow traders. Things change. What worked today might not work tomorrow. You got to be on top of it. And we do have quirks, and we do have temptations. I mean, there's so many distractions. Once again, with the internet, you can eat up hours, days, weeks surfing the internet. But this is where you got to put your priorities first. You have to know what you want to accomplish and focus on that, which once again gets back to willpower. So the willpower instinct, I suggest you read it. It's a good book. I liked it. I learned a few new things. So hopefully, if you're watching this video, I thank you. You'll read this book and get back to me. I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. The Willpower Instinct.